What makes an experience an experience? When race days become race weekends, and race weekends become full-throttle memories.
To the checker, baby! Yeah, let's go!
So pull up in your camper, pick your favorite spot, first race or 50th season.
You did just win again. Oh my God!
A community that lives loud, loves hard, and celebrates every damn second.
Roll Tide and welcome to this Tuesday edition of Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR. This is Roger Hoover. Great to be with you in our Tuscaloosa studio this week because we have a busy weekend coming up here on campus at the University of Alabama. We'll start our show, as we always do, by taking a look at what's coming up in the program, plus our headlines thanks to our friends RJ Young. RJ Young is the official technology solutions provider of Crimson Drive. Let's see what's on the show this afternoon. First of all, we're going to be talking baseball with Crimson Tide. Yes, second baseman and sometimes shortstop Brennan Holt. We'll explain more on that coming up in a moment, but a good conversation with Brennan to begin our show. Then we'll take a look back to some of our booth cam highlights from both baseball and softball over this past weekend, as baseball was impressive in its road series at South Carolina and softball at the SEC tournament. Then we'll close out the show with a conversation with Logen Devenport of the Alabama baseball team, giving his perspective on how Alabama is playing right now. Over to softball in our headlines. Last weekend, the Crimson Tide winning 2 games of the SEC tournament before ultimately it was Texas claiming the tournament championship with the dominant win on Saturday. But fear not for Alabama softball. The Crimson Tide are headed to the postseason with the NCAA tournament and also with the #1 national seed. Great recognition for Coach Murphy and the Crimson Tide as they get ready for this weekend in Tuscaloosa. Starting on Friday with the Tuscaloosa Regional, Crimson Tide will be hosting Belmont, Southeastern Louisiana, as well as USC Upstate. That's the opponent Alabama will have coming up at noon on Friday to start what we hope is a very successful regional weekend at Rhodes Stadium. For the Crimson Tide baseball team, successful road trip to South Carolina this past weekend as Alabama picked up its first ever sweep against South Carolina in Columbia. It had been the first time in a long time Alabama had swept the Gamecocks, who have, of course, been one of the better programs in college baseball the last quarter century. So great work for Rob Vaughn, the Crimson Tide, getting that sweep, even dealing with some adversity with Justin LeBron going down with injury, as well as Braden Neal over the weekend. Different heroes emerged, like JoJo Williamson, who homered as part of the Saturday win for the Crimson Tide. John Lim, great once again. Will Plattner, great off the bench, and then very solid pitching all throughout the weekend sweep for Alabama. Now this weekend, the Crimson Tide will be at home against the Ole Miss Rebels for the final 3 games of the regular season, Thursday to Saturday. Alabama right now in great shape looking ahead to next week for Hoover and the SEC tournament. Alabama currently 4th in the SEC standings at 16-11, the same record as the Auburn Tigers, but of course Alabama swept Auburn earlier this season, so the Crimson Tide in really good shape looking at Hoover trying to get that elusive double bye if Alabama can be one of the top 4 seeds for next week's SEC tournament in Hoover, Alabama. That's a look at our headlines brought to you by RJ Young. And now we get to talk to one of the stars for the Crimson Tide this season, Brennan Holt, who I mentioned is the everyday second baseman for this Alabama baseball team. But with Justin LeBron going out with injury against South Carolina, Holt moved over to shortstop to define job for the Crimson Tide over the weekend in Columbia. He joins us now to talk about this season for Alabama baseball. Brennan, you had a home run against the Vanderbilt Commodores to help make sure that was a sweep. How good was that feeling getting first of all, the sweep against Vanderbilt?
Right, yeah, this sweep was huge going into this weekend. Coach Vaughn talked about it, just trying to play our best game, and we did that this weekend, and hopefully we can keep that going.
Hopefully we can keep it going, and we got to talk about this home run in the 8th inning, helping secure Alabama's larger lead going into the final inning of play. Just walk us through that at-bat and everything that happened after.
Yeah, I was just trying to get a pitch I could hit hard, and I got one, and I hit it hard, and I hit it far, and had a home run, and I just kind of blacked out in the moment, just super excited, extending the lead as that was important going to the 9th inning, and just got pure joy and excitement, and might have done a little bat flip, a little bit more than I was expecting, but it was just all excitement there.
And absolutely, because again, that's only your second home run of the season, and your focus is more so on hard contact versus launch angle or trying to chase home runs.
For sure, yeah. I mean, my goal is just to get on base, honestly. That's my number one goal for Braun and Brady and Bryce and Torres and all those guys to hit the home runs. That's not normally my job, but I mean, I guess that's a bonus every now and then.
Also in that ball game, mentioned Jason Torres. He hits a key home run, giving you guys a 5-0 lead. You've seen the ups and downs he's gone through this year. What does it mean when he's able to add something to this lineup?
Yeah, it's huge. Just seeing him just staying steady and him hitting that home run in the first inning to bust it open to make it 5-0 was just huge. And just seeing him not quitting or getting down and just knowing that this season's long and him just keep going, keeping his head down, just great for the team.
And also in that final game of the series, you saw Miles Upchurch make another strong start in SEC play. How have you seen him kind of grow week to week?
Yeah, he's just the way that he's matured on the mound. It's been great watching him from week 1 all the way to week 10 that we just finished. And I feel like, honestly, each start he's had, he's just gotten better and better.
Yeah, from your vantage point, how good is that changeup?
Oh my gosh, it's like I almost know it's coming like every time, like change up, and it's elite. It's elite.
It really is. So the Crimson Tide continue playing great baseball at a very important time of the season. As we record today, only a couple of SEC series left. Just what's the vibe, what's the mood of this team as you get closer to the postseason?
Yeah, I mean, us not having a midweek last week was great for us, just to be able to practice and get everything together that we needed to get better at. And moving into these last 2 weeks, we kind of have a good, strong point of knowing like we need to be good at this thing and just take us into the postseason.
And a lot of that is strong defense as well. I think that was something we talked about a lot the last time you were here. Does it feel nice when you have a good weekend of playing pretty sound defensively?
Oh, for sure. And it helps our pitchers and obviously our offense, just keeping mental cues of, not making any mistakes or anything like that on defense for our offense to put up more runs.
Saw a lot of that this past weekend. Pretty good approach at the plate. How did you guys feel about kind of everything you learned about Vandy going into the week and then how you're able to execute?
Yeah, I mean, we had a strong game plan going in, and us sticking to that game plan is the most important thing and not going away from it if something doesn't work out. And that just showed this weekend. We might have got out a couple times, but we stuck with the game plan, and in the long run, it worked out well.
We've talked before about how cool it is you get to close out your career as a part of the Crimson Tide. What are the emotions going to be like a senior weekend as you get ready for Ole Miss, family in town? I know it's going to be a pretty special recognition before one of your final games at Soul Thomas Stadium.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm not looking forward to it too much as we still have 2 more weekends, and but I'm trying to take it all in, like I said, and just enjoy the moment with my teammates and everyone that's in the dugout with us.
It's going to be a special ride coming up for this team. A couple of guys that have been injured this season. How have you seen them impact the team? Looking at guys like Sam Christensen, Logan Devenport, Coleman Mizell.
Yeah, I mean, I could go on and on about each one of them, but I mean, they've been great in the dugout, just bringing great energy and positivity to us guys that are playing and picking each other up in the dugout. I mean, I could go on and on about them. They're big glue guys, part of this team, trying to do something while they can't play, and they've been great. They've been great.
Yeah, really hope things would work out for them a little bit differently this season. But you got to be excited about what's ahead for them coming back next year, and also all these young freshmen. This is a pretty good young core that's going to be left behind.
Yeah, I mean, I've talked to a couple of the freshmen and just them getting these at bats right now in SEC play, like Chase Kroberger, Eric Hines. And Andrew Purdy, just having that experience now under their belt just will, it'll just boost them for the years to come, to have success.
And even though we haven't seen him on the field this season, how about John Young Jr. and the work he puts in every day?
Yeah, I mean, he puts in so much work. That's one of my good buddies. I talk to him every day at the field. He's here, he's there, he's coming to work every single day with a great mindset, doesn't have a bad attitude at all, which is just great to see. It can be very easy to put your head down and not want to work or anything like that, but he comes to the field to work each and every day, and I couldn't be more proud of it.
So as we wrap things up in this interview, what's going to be most important over the next couple of weeks as you guys try and close the SEC regular season strong and then get ready for Hoover and everything else? Yeah,
I mean, just knowing what we're good at, not trying to be anyone else that we're not. Just know what makes us good, which is pitching, and just doing everything the small things correct, and just limit our mistakes, obviously, whenever they do happen, try and minimize them, and to have consecutive good at-bats, and that's our goal.
See the ball cap, were you pretty bummed that the schedule didn't line up being
I know,
in town for the Morgan Wallen concert?
Yes, I know. It would have been too good to be true. Too good to be true.
Absolutely. Well, Brennan Holt, good things ahead for you and the Crimson Tide moving forward. All the best. We continue to look forward to seeing you maybe hit some more home runs and keep leading this Crimson Tide baseball team. But thank you for your time. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.
What makes an experience an experience? When race days become race weekends and race weekends become full throttle memories.
To the checker, baby! Yeah, let's go!
So pull up in your camper, pick your favorite spot, first race or 50th season.
You did just win again. Oh my God!
A community that lives loud, loves hard, and celebrates every damn second.
Vandegrift drills this one to deep right field. That one's way back. Way gone. Someone barreled it up, and it's Audrey Vandegrift. A 2-run homer for the Crimson Tide. The response is there, and we're tied up at 1.
God bless America. Thank you, Audrey Vandegrift. I mean, I was so ready for someone to just do exactly what Audrey just did. That's what all Americans do, man. They're the ones who say, I'm taking control. Robin Herron is trying to run this up and out, and Vandegrift just totally gets on top of this and sends it out towards right field and towards the berm. And I really, really hope that's exactly the swing that Alabama needed to see, because it has been a minute since someone has just done that. Just gotten what they wanted, worked it, cooked it, and sent it out, and Audrey did it for her 7th home run of the year.
First pitch to Wells is driven to deep center field. Way back. Way gone! Brooke Wells takes advantage and gives the Crimson Tide the 3-1 lead.
That's how you pay it off.
Taylor, fly ball deep left field. That one's way back. Way gone! Ambry Taylor puts one off the scoreboard, and the Crimson Tide strikes first. It's 1-0 Alabama.
Nice. Rise ball elevated, didn't quite have the jump, wasn't outside enough. I think it was supposed to be those pitches that Taylor swung at earlier. This time she swings and connects. Breaks through the spin, gets on top of it out in front, and tomahawks it right to the scoreboard. And after all the people on base, the first run is a solo homer because,
of course,
why not?
1-1, Roman takes it to right. That's down for a base hit. 1-1 will score. Wells will be held up at third as the throw comes in, and that's an RBI single for Anna Roman, and the Crimson Tide leads it 2-0. Giles lines this to left, and that's going to fall for a base hit. Thomas has it bounced away from her. 1 run will score. 2 runs will score. Roman's on third. Giles on second. Bama leads it 4-0.
A moment where I think 2-1, Jenna Young smokes that out towards center. Shoemaker will watch it go off the fence. Kristen White will stop at third, and the ball gets away. K-double head for home. Play at the plate, not in time. Jenna Young goes to third. That ball gets away, but not far enough to let JY scamper home. And Alabama gets an extra response run, 5-1 here in the bottom of the third.
I think Shoemaker misjudged that off the bat. Because I think she thought she was going to get underneath it, and all of a sudden it was over her head. No. That's lined, and that's down, and this game is going to end. Ambry Taylor, a game-ending RBI single, brings home Larissa Pruitt, and Alabama run rules Florida in the semifinals of the SEC tournament by a final score of 9-1.
Oh, my. Alabama was ready. They were eager. They adjusted. They played the game. They swung at mistakes. But let's be very for real here, Tom. This game is not ending right now, if not for some of the heroics of Vic Moten, who probably had her hardest, most difficult game of the season today.
Yeah.
But if she doesn't get out of those jams in the first and the second and the third and the fifth, then who knows what's going on. Vic Moten setting the tone in the first inning and then also continuing that tone in the second inning allowed Alabama the time to break through.
Slider is swung on and lined high, deep in the air to left field, and gone! Justin LeBron with Alabama's second homer this inning, a 3-run shot to the left field bleachers. And now it's the Crimson Tide taking over in Columbia in the top of the second. It is Alabama 4 and South Carolina nothing. 1-1 and the pitch. Fastball is crushed, high, deep left field. Luke Vaughn has done it again. His second home run tonight at Founders Park, a 2-run shot to left, and in the top of the 8th inning, it's now Alabama 7, South Carolina 1. He swings and crushes it. High, deep right field. This is well back, and this is gone! JoJo Williamson with his first collegiate home run, a game-tying 3-run shot to right, and in the top of the 4th, it's Alabama tying the game at 4 with South Carolina. Frisco with a count full. Payoff pitch. Breaking ball is crushed, high, deep right field, goodbye! John Lim with a 3-run homer to right, and now in the top of the 5th, it's Alabama with a 7-4 lead at South Carolina. And the pitch. He swings and launches high and deep left field. Lizama will watch it go for a home run. Will Plattner with a 2-run shot to left, and in the top of the 6th inning, it's now Alabama 9, South Carolina 4. The 0-1. Swing and a bouncing ball to third. Torres fields it, fires to first high. Vaughn makes the catch. Ball game over. Alabama survives and sweeps here in South Carolina. Final score at Founders Park on this Mother's Day Sunday, Alabama 7 and South Carolina 6. Hope you enjoyed that look back to some of our booth cam highlights. Tom and Gray on the call in Lexington. They'll be back on the mic this weekend for Alabama in the softball NCAA Tuscaloosa Regional. And, of course, I had the pleasure to be in Columbia, South Carolina. Really enjoyed that series for Alabama getting the sweep against the South Carolina Gamecocks. Now we'll go back to the LLH Healthcare Advantage Center to our podcast studio and catch up with Logen Devenport, who's been joining us all throughout the season, even though he's been injured for Alabama, talking about his experiences with this baseball team and what he sees as his role for Alabama coming into the summer and into next year. I think you'll enjoy this conversation with Logen Devenport from Alabama Baseball. Logen, you've still got to interact with your teammates, impact this team in a positive way. Just what kind of baseball is Alabama playing right now?
I think we're playing great baseball right now. I think this last weekend was huge for, momentum going into the last 2 weeks of the season.
It really has been. The sweep against Vanderbilt kind of showed, again, everything that this group can improve on. And when they play solid, clean baseball, first of all, just how important is that for this team?
That's very important. I think defense wins ball games, and when you play clean, it'll be a lot of success in the end.
And you've been there at practice. You got to see these guys work on this each and every day. So even if there are some tough moments like maybe happened at Tennessee or even in different spots, the UAB game, this is a group that always takes pride in its defense, right?
Correct. Yeah, I think when you minimize the errors and you don't let them stack on top of each other, it helps towards the ends of the game.
And just from a mindset perspective, what did you see from the coaching staff trying to lead these guys after what had been some tough weekends back-to-back against Texas and Tennessee leading up to what we saw in the Vandy series?
Yeah, we worked a lot on the defensive side of things, obviously. I think it was big, too, for the mental game. We worked on, doing like 10 clean double plays in a row and, getting excited after it. It was almost like, we didn't go at it and hit a bunch of ground balls at you harder and harder and harder, make you better. It was more of like a, field the ball, see how it feels, get it to the, guy at second, clean, double play, flip it. So I think when you see a lot of success on defense, it helps you from practice put that into game standpoint.
Yeah, we certainly have seen that in games. Some really highlight reel-worthy plays from Justin LeBron. Just when you get to watch him work, is he one of the better shortstops you've seen in your career?
Oh, yeah. He's one of one. I think that the guy makes the really tough plays look really easy. And so then you go back and you can, watch the highlights of the game and stuff, and the announcers are just like in awe. They're like, it should be a tough play here. And then they're like, oh, never mind. It's Justin LeBron. that's a routine play for him.
Yeah, he does such a great job for the Crimson Tide there. And then in the outfield, one of your positions, you've seen maybe some different guys cycle in left field, right field occasionally. How about Brady Neal and the way he's approached playing right field?
Yeah, no, he's done a great job. He's kind of turned in from like a catcher into like a utility player. That guy can play anywhere. I remember in the fall, he'd be like taking ground balls at second, then he's out in the outfield, then he's, behind the plate. He's just a crazy athlete.
I think he said on one of our radio shows that he has like 4 gloves he brings to the yard every day.
Oh, yeah. He goes where they tell him to,
Yeah, he's certainly a gamer for the Crimson Tide. That's great to see. Only a few weeks left in this regular season. Just how excited are you for what's ahead for this team?
I'm really excited. I think, last 2 weekend series, I think it's a great opportunity to show like how we are playing clean baseball. I think it'll put us in a great chance for postseason play, and then, deciding if we're able to host a regional or not.
It would be exciting if we can get back here to start the NCAA tournament. For you, kind of what's been the focus as you continue working your way back from injury?
Yeah, it's been a lot of core strengthening. I've done a lot of upper body. I've done a little lower, not as much. But I go back on Wednesday to pretty much get the check mark to say I'm all clear, and then I'll probably start up onto a heavier lifting standpoint and running a little bit, and then build into swings here in a couple weeks.
All the work in the weight room supervised by your strength and conditioning coach, Brett Price. So what can you tell us about the job that he does? And then Sean Stryker, the trainer, having to work with Brett to make sure everything's good to go and safe for you to do in the weight room.
Yeah. Coach Price is awesome, man. He can manipulate a lift for you no matter what the problem is. So with my back, like it's been a lot of, core stabilizing. I haven't gotten under a bar at all. Like, making sure, my back's flat when I'm doing bench, a lot of stuff. And then Stryker's really good just communicating with doctors and, communicating with Price as well, because, you got to tell him what I can't do. I can't do extension, no running, little things like that. They work really well together.
I know when we talked before about your decision to come to Alabama, you talked about the facilities. I mean, how nice is it having an expanded weight room like you guys have in the batting cages now?
It's awesome. It's everything a ball player's ever dreamed of. You walk in and you see, the weight room area that's amazing, and then you got the new cages up, and it just looks sweet in there. I've always really wanted a weight room at the field. I've never been able to have one, and with that there, it solidifies the experience.
Yeah, it makes a big difference versus having a couple dumbbells, kettlebell, kind of somewhere in the clubhouse and just get a quick one in.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, that's certainly cool. And then what are you going to do over the summer to get your body ready for fall baseball?
Yeah, so I will build up into a lifting, swinging standpoint. I'll take these next 2 weeks, 2-3 weeks while I'm here still, will probably be to build up my lower body, run a little bit, kind of see how my body reacts to that just after not doing it for a while. And then probably when I get home this summer, I'll start building up into my swing progression.
And of course, that's a grind. And kind of, what's the mental challenge with all this, trying to stay patient throughout the course of this year?
Yeah, you just gotta think long term. I think when I realized that I would be shut down for as long as I have been, I think my focus went from getting back to healthy and swinging and stuff. It focused to, all right, let's get a really strong core. Let's get, the upper body working. Let's get the forearms. Let's get everything stronger that I'm able to control, and then worry about the swinging and the lower body stuff later.
We've talked a lot with Sam Christensen as well. He's having to go through a lot of the same things that you have this season. Caden Humphrey gets shut down early in the season with his injury. Does it kind of excite you knowing that there's going to be a good core of players returning to the field next year, along with some of these young freshmen we've gotten to see just a little bit? Yeah, no,
it's exciting, and it's bad that the injuries did happen this year, but I think it's good for the future of this program to have some older guys coming back and knowing the way around, plus these newer guys that have been here now, like the freshmen and stuff, having them come back and know just the everyday things. And I think the group together is going to be really, really good.
Really, really good, and especially if they can come off a good postseason experience coming up this year. Well, Logan, we have really enjoyed getting to know you better through all these interviews here on Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR. Just thank you, and all the best to you this summer as you get back and ready to go for the Crimson Tide next year. Roll Tide.
Thank you. Roll Tide.
Now it's time to take a look at our upcoming schedule on the Crimson Tide Sports Network. We're going to be busy at Rhodes Stadium, busy at Sewell Thomas Stadium as we take a look at what's ahead here on the network. First of all, we will have another edition of Crimson Drive driven by NASCAR streaming live at 2 o'clock on Thursday afternoon, featuring a conversation with Lauren Johnson from Alabama softball as well as Sam Christensen from Alabama baseball. Plus our softball broadcasters Tom and Gray will give you a full report on what to expect at the Tuscaloosa Regional. Later that evening at 6 p.m., Alabama baseball will start its series against Ole Miss as the Crimson Tide will play Thursday and Friday games against the Rebels before that series closes out on Saturday at 2 o'clock. For softball, we do know that the regional will start coming up on Friday at noon against USC. Upstate Tom and Gray will have radio coverage starting at 11:45 across the network. And then stay tuned to our social media platforms as well as RolledTide.com for the latest schedule for Alabama in the regional in Tuscaloosa. Hopefully moving on to the Super Regional, which also would be played here coming up next week as well. The RolledTide.com will have you covered as well as Alabama softball social media platforms with the latest coming up as hopefully it's a winning weekend for baseball and softball here in Tuscaloosa. Make sure you follow us on all of our social media platforms, especially subscribe if you're watching this on YouTube. Turn notifications on so you don't miss anything from the Crimson Tide Sports Network. It's going to wrap up this busy Tuesday edition of Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR. We appreciate the time of Logen Devenport as well as Brennan Holt joining us at the LLH Healthcare Advantage Center in our podcast studios, and we had fun with the booth cam highlights as well from baseball and softball. For everybody with the Crimson Tide Sports Network, I'm Roger Hoover saying thanks for watching Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR. We'll see you again here on Thursday at 2 o'clock for another edition of Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR. Until then, so long everyone, Roll Tide.